Welcome to a Reddit Bytes production, the best Reddit channel on YouTube. If you subscribe right now, I will give you a cookie. If you don't, that's cool too. Enjoy the show. Today's Ask Reddit post: lawyers, what's a law that isn't real that normal people insist exists? In the UK, people often claim that if an item is listed for sale in a shop, then the shop legally has to sell it to you at that price. This is not true at all, as the shop doesn't have to sell you anything at any price. Often as a gesture of goodwill, shops will honor erroneous prices, but they are under absolutely no obligation to do so. That commercial use of a photograph means selling the photograph. Commercial use means that there is an implied endorsement. You can take and sell photos of Eric Clapton all day long. Put that same photo in an advertisement for a certain guitar without a release and you can be sued. Probate attorney here. I've had many people ask me when the reading of the will is going to take place. I explain to them that only happens in movies, but one of these days I am going to have one, and hire a mysterious blonde wearing a veil to sit in the corner quietly. Then I'll tell everyone that she inherits everything. Provided, of course, that she must adopt the dissident's cute but troublemaking 6-year-old child no one knew about, or she can spend the night in a haunted house. Her choice. My father, who is a lawyer. Policemen cannot lie to you. This is false. They can and they do. Edit. There's so many replies that I cannot even find some of the ones I'd like to respond to, so I want to leave a general note for those who have asked for a reference. Frazier vs. Cupp is the Supreme Court ruling that affirmed the legality of deceptive interrogation tactics in 1969. The ruling is still active now, but here's one that bounces around legal advice every couple months. The age of majority in Mississippi is 21, so people say your parents control your life until then and you can't move out without permission until you are 21. The truth is that the law means they have an obligation to provide for you until you are 21. You can't move out at 18 and not face any penalty or be forced to return. Although the age for Mississippi emancipation is officially 21, this only refers to emancipation from a parent's obligation to support their young adult financially. In Mississippi, individuals age 18 and older may vote, enter into legal contracts, take legal action against others and be sued for damages. Similarly, an individual age 18 or older who moves out of his parents' home is not considered a runaway in Mississippi and is not legally required to return to the family home. People that think it's illegal to be videotaped in a public space. An arrest isn't magically invalidated if the police don't read you your rights on the spot. There could be a whole thread of just misconceptions people have from watching cop TV. Sovereign citizen stuff. I feel like enough folks have claimed to be sovereign citizens that it's become normal. But no, generally you can't declare yourself exempt from the laws in effect where you are. Not quite on point. A lot of people don't understand that co-signing a loan means that you are on the hook for the loan as much as the other person. The car gets repoed and then they are shocked that their wages are getting garnished. Co-signing is not you saying you think your friend is a cool dude who is good for it. You are saying you will pay for it if they don't. And they want you on the hook because they think there is a good chance the main applicant is a deadbeat. Basically, don't co-sign sh*t for anybody. In California, it's not illegal to discuss your wages with your co-workers, despite what your boss might say. Edit. I'm a lawyer in California. I assume it's the same in the other 49 states, but don't want to speculate. As a former lawyer UK, I lost count of the amount of people that thought jaywalking was a crime. Unless it's a road that specifically states no pedestrians or a motorway, no such offense exists here. Edit. To clarify, I'm talking about it not being a crime in the UK. It may well be elsewhere. Australia, USA, Germany and others. Even though many people think so, there has actually never been a Danish law allowing you to beat up a Swede with a stick if he should walk across the ice on Øresund during winter. But even though the law has never existed, it doesn't mean it shouldn't. This isn't exactly what you're asking for, but I think it's valuable for people to know. You do not need to wait 24 hours to report someone as missing. I'm a lawyer. This is not a law that doesn't exist, but a law that is misunderstood. Typically, you can't just go get a restraining order against anybody. Most states have specific laws for who you can get restraining orders against. Typically household members or former romantic interests. Usually, it's only in domestic violence cases or for victims of crimes. You can't just get a restraining order and comically use it to keep someone 100 feet away. In the United States, at least. It's a law that exists but widely misunderstood as the concept of entrapment. If the police put a bait vehicle in a high crime area, that is not entrapment. If the police are watching a bar known to overserve to see if there are impaired drivers at the end of the night, that is not entrapment. Entrapment only occurs when a gov agent suggests committing a crime that you were not otherwise going to commit. Fighting words is not a defense to battery. It just means that the government can prosecute face-to-face insults likely to lead to a breach of the peace. ETA. Not to say that provocation defenses don't exist dependent on jurisdiction, but fighting words in the US refers to an exception to the First Amendment. https://www. Oh yes, org cases 1940 to 1955 315 as 568. The one that is the most frustrating to me, even though it's not really a specific claim that a particular law exists, more a rule of evidence, is that's just hearsay. You have no evidence. Comes up all the time, in all kinds of contexts. Even lawyers love using it when it suits them. Nothing but hearsay and speculation. Usually, what people mean when they say that is don't believe them. They're lying. Which, fair enough, but that's not what hearsay means. Lots of evidence is just a person talking. That's what a witness is. It's why testimony exists. It's not evidence just because it's a person talking. Hearsay just means that in most cases, you can't have person A say that person B said this, in order to prove that this actually is true. Hearsay, get it? I heard B say it. It just means your witness can only talk about things they actually know about. And, extremely importantly, it also doesn't count as hearsay when person B is actually the person on the other side of the case. Person A is totally allowed to say person B told me yes, I will commit the crime on Tuesday if person B is the defendant, who has been accused of committing the crime on Tuesday. You don't get to complain it's hearsay if you're the one who supposedly said the thing they heard. In the UK, it's not illegal to park on someone else's driveway. It's classified as trespassing, a civil offense, not criminal, which means the police can't do anything. This particularly surprises people as many think that they have exclusive rights to the parking outside their house as well. When my parents die, the government is going to seize a big chunk of the inheritance and I'll get nothing. In the US this is a very common misconception. Although state inheritance taxes vary, the US federal taxes on inheritance don't actually kick in until the estate's value exceeds $5 million. So, for the vast majority of working class folks, the federal inheritance tax won't have any effect, but people will still talk to their family lawyers and ask about how much Uncle Sam is taking away when mom or dad die. You can go 10 over the speed limit. My dad thought this was true as he was new to the country and quickly found out by a speeding ticket that it was not. Edit. I'm now realizing that this may vary from state to state and county to county. For my case, South Florida generally tolerates 10 over but is still technically illegal. I'm no lawyer, but I don't feel like most of the villains in Scooby-Doo committed any actual crime. I don't think it's against the law to put on a mask and scare some trespassers on your own property. In the UK that it is illegal to drink under the age of 18. You can buy alcohol with a meal at 16, beer, wine, cider, and you are not breaking any laws if you give your child some alcohol in the privacy of your own home and they are over the age of 5. Edit. At 16 you have to be accompanied by an adult and it is paid for by the adult. Thanks you Kellusk. If you live together for X period of time, you're automatically legally married. There are different time periods for different purposes, and being common law doesn't always have the same effect as being married. So for example, your employer might give your partner spousal benefits after 1 year, but division of property laws might only apply after 3, and all of this varies from one place to another. Some places don't have division of property laws for common law spouses. For example, no laws against driving barefoot. I'm not driving, I'm traveling. A real, but widely misunderstood law is HIPAA. People think it protects you from literally any discussion of your health issues by anyone at all. Nope, not even close. Freedom of speech in my country. That's from watching too many US movies. I'm a law student and definitely self-defense. Even though the law exists, people in my country really think it's broader than it actually is. It's federal law in the US that a plainclothes or undercover police officer has to identify themselves as law enforcement if asked. No, it's not the law, and they can tell you whatever the FCK they want. Brothel laws at universities. There are no laws stating that 3 or more women in one house constitutes a brothel. In many countries, escaping from prison is not an offense because the desire to be free is so inherent to humans that it needs to be respected. This is providing you don't commit another felony while escaping, like killing a guard. Edit, my first award ever. Many thanks. Driving with interior overhead car lights on is not illegal, and X200B. Edit, thanks for the gold. Kind stranger, my first. They cannot arrest a husband and wife for the same crime. That common civil liberty protections restrict individuals or organizations. Freedom of press, speech, due process, etc. only restrict the government. For example, most organizations can restrict your speech based on their internal policies. There are instances where an organization has to provide certain protections based on federal funding, i.e. schools implementing Title IX. Not a lawyer, but unfair firings are oftentimes not illegal. People often assume that if they were treated unfairly at work, like getting fired for something trivial that someone else got away with, that some kind of law has been broken and that they have a strong case for suing. In most cases this is not true. There are only a very few reasons for firing that get a company in trouble. Firing for race, color, national origin, religion, ethics, age, or disability is illegal in all states. Firing for anything else varies from state to state. In many states this means you can be fired for a medical condition, your sexual orientation, tattoos, that stupid look on your face, your weight, etc. or just because I'm not attracted to you. Freedom of speech and censorship laws do not apply on social media. If your comments or posts get deleted by an administrator, it is not infringing on your rights. Have you been arrested for your statements? Have you been prosecuted for saying something? If the answer is no, then chill out. Edit, Canada. If a trooper isn't wearing his hat when he writes you a ticket, it's automatically dismissed. No, he can be wearing a clown costume and have the same authority. In Germany, most people believe that if a product breaks within 2 years of purchase, the seller must repair or replace it for free. This stems from the law that basically says if you are sold a product that had a defect at the time of purchase, you have 2 years within which the seller must repair or replace. However, the buyer must prove the product was already faulty at purchase. Not a lawyer, but as someone who watches a lot of our public freakout videos with people screaming, it's illegal to film me without my permission. I would say that, in most cases, you don't need someone's permission to film in a public place where there is no expectancy of privacy. If it were a public bathroom, then yeah, that might be a problem. But filming at a park or on the sidewalk is not illegal. There's this great video from Wanda Shazam kind of related to this that cracks me up so much. Not a law, but how people believe the polygraph tells the truth. The polygraphist cannot be used as evidence in court. Therefore, not science. Might as well use a Ouija board. The legal limit for back-in drunk driving. There is no such thing. The common refrain you hear, especially from media outlets that have no idea what the FCK they're talking about, is that there's a legal limit to the amount of alcohol you can safely have in your system and legally drive a car. Number. Simply no, it doesn't exist. There is a statutorily established per se limit in every state. This means that if you are driving and your back is over that limit, you are per se intoxicated and the state doesn't require any more evidence to convict you. But if you are under that limit, you can still be convicted of drunk driving or driving while intoxicated. The state will have to provide additional evidence to do so. So, even though you've just had one or have a back under the legal limit, you can still get arrested and convicted of drunk driving, DUI, or whatever else your state calls it. Lots of people seem to think that private businesses have to respect your freedom of speech. If the teacher is more than 15 minutes late, you're legally allowed to go home. Netherlands. Weed is legal. It is in fact not. Though it is technically illegal, there are places that can sell up to a certain amount, and they're not allowed to sell to tourists, which of course still happens all the time. I mean, it's a hassle to tell who is and isn't a tourist when you've got open borders. Plus, especially in Amsterdam, it would probably take down your profits. I am not a lawyer though, so I don't know the exact specifics of the laws around weed and other drugs, but generally speaking, they're illegal. Not technically a law, but life, liberty and the pursuit of happiness is not in the Constitution. Hear it all the time and it drives me crazy. Cop, not a lawyer. Miranda advisements only are provided when your statement is being taken while in custody. Coercion. A cop doesn't have to read you your rights if he arrests you but doesn't ask you questions after the fact. Many friends of friends ask me, hey, my buddy got popped for a DUI, but the cop didn't read him his rights. Does he get off? The answer is almost always no. I think one thing we should definitely point out is, just because something isn't technically a law, doesn't mean you can't get arrested for it, at least in the US. And, we should always point out that the United States has more laws than they even know exists, and law enforcement is not required to understand any of them. So, just because Google claims something, doesn't mean it is true or will hold up. I suggest anyone who is dabbling in law, illegal or legally, give this video a watch. He goes over multiple things, including the 27,000 page book that has all of our laws and no one has read. He also goes over how certain things don't even need to be illegal in your state or in the US. There are laws that state if something is illegal in any country, they can charge you for it. And, of course, the main topic he discusses is why you should never speak to law enforcement under any circumstances. Even if you're 100% innocent, you say nothing. https://yahoo BD709XIP7E. Bro, you actually watched the whole video. I'd give you a high five if I was a human. Make sure to click the like button and subscribe for more great content. See you next time.